Hi, I'm John Miklas, lead pastor here at CCC, and I'm here with Barb Mathews, and we want to take a few minutes and talk about Barb's recent experience with Zoe International and her trip to Thailand. So, Barb, to get us started, just refresh our memory. What is Zoe's purpose, and what were some of the goals of the trip that you recently took?
Yeah, Zoe's purpose or mission is to reach every person with the gospel and then to rescue every child from human trafficking. And I think the goal of the trip was just to expose some people to what Zoe's doing in Thailand and also give us some opportunities to minister to these kids who have been taken out of trafficking. And also we did an outreach event on the border of Burma, and that was an amazing experience. So just to give us that opportunity, that experience to minister.
So what surprised you most about being in the culture there?
I think that I was doing a lot of comparing because I lived in West Africa for 16 years. So the climate was very similar to Ghana. I just felt right at home. I think the thing that surprised me was how clean everything was. I think with developing countries, like I generally have a picture in my mind that they're going to be really dirty. But my experience in Thailand was very beautiful, clean, flowers everywhere. People are always cleaning, and it was just amazing.
So what was something challenging for you on the trip?
I did have a little bit of a health challenge while I was on the trip. My legs, my ankles and feet swelled up. I think it was from traveling. That was a little bit of a challenge, but I just propped my feet up at night and they were better in the morning.
Not anything insurmountable?
Not anything insurmountable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, kind of looking back on the trip, what would you say were one or two of the most impactful experiences for you?
Yeah, one really impactful experience for me was the prayer meeting. So it was just prayer. Like, we didn't sit and listen to prayer requests for a long time and then pray. Like, I walked into a room where people were already praying. They were playing worship music in the background. And kids, adults, everybody that's with Zoe was in this room. Kids who have been rescued, people who work with them. Everybody's just praying, walking around or sitting down or praying with someone. And it wasn't long after I entered the room that two little girls came up to me and put their hands on my arms and just started praying for me out loud. And they
couldn't understand them,
I
right?
couldn't understand them. They were speaking Thai, but I could feel like I definitely felt the presence of the Holy Spirit there, and I could feel the power of their prayers. And it was just humbling. It was just really humbling.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then I would say another highlight for me was the outreach opportunity at the border of Burma. So Burma's been in this war for more than 60 years, a civil war. And we could hear the bombs exploding. We could see the plumes of smoke off in the distance. We were like 6 miles from the border. And I don't know, it was just incredible to be able to minister to these kids in the school. We ministered to 2,000 children, teaching them what human trafficking looks like, teaching them how to stay safe, basically. And they were like little sponges, like soaking in every word we said and really responsive. And like, it was hard to imagine, like, these kids have been like sent by their parents, most of them not living with their families anymore. They're separated from their families at this school, and they were just so eager. It's like a boarding school. They were just so eager to learn. It was neat. And
Zoe has complete access to be able to go in and, because of what the content is, to engage with these kids.
We were invited actually by the administrator of the school, who was a believer, and he spoke to us afterwards and just told us how much he appreciated us coming.
So can you talk a little bit about the experience that you shared with me of just when you were at the school and you were outside praying, and what happened with that?
Yeah, so we met and we went with the Zoe leadership team, the training students. They had like a Bible college at Zoe. We went with them, and they stayed at this like college campus, I think, and we would go and have breakfast there. And then we would go and stand in a circle on the soccer field and just worship and begin our day, any announcements or whatever to prepare for the day. And we were praying one morning and someone said, I just really feel led to pray, because the bombs are all exploding while we're doing this. I just feel really led to pray that peace will come over this nation of Burma and that the bombs will stop. And so everybody raised their hands and we were all praying. The next morning when we met on the soccer field, somebody noticed that all we could hear was the birds singing. There were no more bombs exploding that day.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know, it was just really neat.
Yeah, that is really powerful to get a glimpse of God answering that prayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So as you think about just kind of the way God was leading you through this time, was there something that God taught you about himself in this experience, or maybe something he reminded you of in this time that you were there serving?
Yeah, I would say he reminded me of how he kind of has like two sides of him, his justice side and how angry he is at the horror that has happened to these children. And also his kind daddy, Abba father side of the restorative side of things, and how he loves these kids so much and wants to redeem their stories.
Wow, that's really powerful. So for you, going on the trip was an opportunity to not only understand what they were doing, understand this ministry that they have in this area of trafficking. So how did that experience impact you? And what's next for you after having that experience?
It actually was a very impactful experience for me. I wasn't expecting it, and it actually didn't hit me until I came back from Thailand. But while I was in Thailand, I just felt so alive and at home and in my element, just ministering, teaching English, going to the schools and doing prevention work and just working with people every day. And then when I came back home, it hit me really hard that I work from home, I do administrative tasks 80% of my time, and it was just like, this is not me. I don't feel like I'm doing what God has gifted me to do. And so I actually made a decision to quit my job with Zoe, even though I love Zoe so much. I love what they do, I love what they stand for, but I just didn't feel like it was a good fit for me. I've been with Zoe for 2 years, and I just wasn't happy in that position. So God kind of woke me up to the fact that I have the power to change those circumstances in my life. I don't have the power to change every circumstance, but that one I could. And so the next morning, it was about a week later after I returned, talked to my boss and told him that I would like to resign. And shortly after that, I applied to a position actually in Reading. There's a home opening up for human trafficking survivors, women between the ages of 18 and 28. And they are opening in the beginning of October. So I interviewed for a job there, a full-time position, working with the women 40 hours a week, one-on-one. So I'm really excited. I got the job, and I'm going to start there at the end of this month.
So you get a chance to actually do what they were doing there.
Exactly.
Just down the road from us.
Just right here in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Exactly.
And we've heard of those things happening in our area. We know of organizations in our area, Lancaster and Reading, that are trying to make a difference. So that's really fascinating to have an opportunity to do that. So obviously Zoe's making an impact around the world. Is there one thing that, as we wrap up, that you would say we could be in prayer for them, just for their future as a ministry?
One thing in particular. Wow. I would just say, especially for the work here on the East Coast, praying for Brad Ortenzi is the regional director here. Just praying for him to have wisdom. It seems like doors are opening all over the place. People are asking him, the hospitals, the schools, asking him to come and do training, and he feels stretched in so many ways. So wisdom in knowing which doors to walk through and which areas to focus on here on the East Coast especially.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, just to be praying for them. And obviously for you in this new role, what's the name of the organization you'll be working for?
Freedom and Restoration for Everyone Enslaved. Okay. And the name of the home is the Refuge Home.
The Refuge Home.
Yeah, in Reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, looking forward to hearing how God uses you in this role, and just really excited to hear how God has, kind of taken you on this journey from, your own story that you shared in your initial interview to, your time in Ghana, and then the opportunity to come back here to the States, allow God to bring about healing in your life, and then travel back there, and for that to stir up in you some things that God has created you to be and do, and then be able to re-engage in that back here. So just kind of fascinating to hear, and for me to be able to observe that journey that God has taken you on.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Well, thank you for taking a few minutes and sharing this time with us, and excited to see what God has next for you. Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.